Hello and welcome back to Discovering SCP. We are back. Hello, welcome back. It's me, Tanhony, and this, my friend.
Hi, it's me, friend. Are you guys ready to read some SCPs today?
It's a bit of an assumption that you think that now.
What do you mean?
You said we're going to be reading an SCP today. This has been requested a couple of times, I'm pretty sure, and I thought maybe it would be amusing to do it, so that's why we're now here. I spent money on this, I'll have you know.
Money? Whoa.
I spent like £10 on this.
What'd you get? What's going on?
What we're going to be reading today is the SCP light novel.
What? I have to watch it through the stream?
I can't link you to it, I'm afraid. This is
my God.
Iris Through the Looking Glass. It's a light novel.
It's 177 pages. I don't think we can get through it. Oh my God! Wait, hold on. Anomalous, put the anime photos up for us.
Put the front page of it. This is SCP Foundation, Iris Through the Looking Glass, written by Akira.
Are you recording on OBS?
No, on Discord.
No, I know, but are you are we still doing audio? Or
yeah, we're doing audio.
Okay. What the fuck? Oh my God. It's her. That's Iris?
Yeah, it's the photo girl. Do you recall?
As an anime girl.
Yeah, she's popular in this category, I believe.
Ah, I see.
Shall we get right into it?
Yeah, let's get in.
Written by Akira, illustrated by Sidhu.
Is this a good light novel?
I don't know. Maybe.
To be fair, most light novels are not very good, but I'm excited to read this.
Have a look. We got some pictures. Yeah, this always weirds me out. Why did they start with these pictures?
Why does every time you move the page, it like zooms in then zooms out? It's like disorienting.
I don't know. I don't know why it's doing that.
It's freaking me out. Try that. Oh God.
Is that?
Stop. I don't know. Whatever. Let's read. Get to the reading part.
Okay. You should read this. This feels weird.
Oh Lord. Wait, so this is from her perspective.
This is from a main character, but I think it's like a male character perspective here.
Alright. Part of my daily routine included dropping by this one library after school, but not because of any particular fondness for reading. Given the choice, I preferred to run free in the great outdoors. In an age where I could read manga on my smartphone with the click of a button, pretty much the only physical books in my life were the textbooks necessary for my senior high school classes. Wasn't Iris, from fucking 2008?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
She would never have been able to read Jujutsu Kaisen on her smartphone, so it can't be her.
I never saw much appeal in physical book. Okay, I already hate this guy so much, I hope he dies in the story. I never saw much appeal in physical books. My eyes grew tired simply from running across the rows of text.
Me doing any episode of Discovering SCP.
As such, the reason why I frequented this library lay elsewhere. Fascinating! Squealed Senpai, standing right in front of a poster with the words, "No talking!" written on it in large, bold font. A third-year student, and so a year ahead of me, she was the vice president of the student council at my high school.
I did read the first couple of pages. The description is very funny.
Thanks to some ancestors from Canada or the USA, the color of her hair resembled honey in the sunlight. Her eyes were such a vivid ultramarine, it was hard to believe the color was natural. Although her well-defined facial features matched the image of a Western beauty. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, God.
Her wild imagination kept the other students
We're just reading this verbatim for the comments. So
let's get right to it,
These aren't my words.
Blank Senpai said, twirling her finger around.
Give them names. If they're not going to name the characters, should we name them?
Okay, how about Joe-kun?
Sure.
And then... presumably this is Iris, right? The Iris Senpai? But the redacted's too long.
Yeah, it doesn't match. Can't be Iris.
Let's call her... How about he's Joe-kun, and she's Jonesy Senpai?
Oh, sure.
Are we cool with that? Jonesy Senpai said, twirling her finger around as she looked down at me excitedly.
So you think this is going to get an anime adaptation?
Oh, hell yes. I was average height for a senior high boy, but she was abnormally tall. To top it off, she made sure to tower over me whenever she spoke, which really laid the pressure on. It was intimidating. I shrank back a bit. I don't like... This is not how a short king behaves.
I was going to say, is this your self-insert?
No. When a short king's faced with a tall queen, it does not go down like this. My back rammed against the bookcase. Oh my God, he blew past 3 bookcases, a hole emerged in between them. Hi. My back rammed against the bookcase fixed to the floor, while I nimbly caught a few books that fell from the shelves. Jonesy Senpai rattled on. There's some really strange rumors surrounding this library. People rate it one of the 7 wonders of the school. And, I'm not sure if you're aware, but apparently this library was originally part of a university that got shut down. It's uncertain whether it was deemed too much of a hassle to demolish after the university was gone, or if some kind of intrigue was in play. But it's all that remains standing.
Did you have any wonders of your school? I always see this shit like... This doesn't actually happen, does it?
I mean, maybe in fucking Japan. I don't know. I don't live there, but in
all our Japanese listeners, please tell us: does schools actually have wonders, or is this purely...
We didn't have any like folk legends, but we had like things people talked about. Like I remember at my school,
well, yeah, there's always the incident
how one day the seniors supposedly like took in a bunch of parts of a plane and like built a plane in the front lobby. I don't think that ever actually happened.
I think I've heard that rumor in for a lot of places. I don't think it's ever true.
Exactly. I remember. I don't know. I can't think of any others off the top of my head.
Carrying an SCP.
She was a bit hard to follow. That girl. She never really bothered to stop and gather her thoughts. You have to understand that, like. I don't want to dig into it and get political, but like American high schools in real life are terrifying enough that we don't like really need legends.
Right,
about
there's already
shit.
Like entities.
Yeah, there's already like things that happen every day that are horrifying. She was a bit hard to follow, that girl. She never really bothered to stop and gather her thoughts. She let her words spill out however they came to mind. But I felt like I needed to at least give the pretense of listening, so I bobbed my head like an idiot. Indifferent to my lukewarm response, Jonesy Senpai continued prattling on, completely unfazed. That's what makes it one of our school's 7 wonders. Apparently, the strange rumors surrounding the place date all the way back to... It's so hard. Every time he turns, it like zooms in and then out, so it like throws me off. That's what those delays are. To when the university was still standing. I'm nuts about paranormal stuff, so I've been looking into it. Like I didn't know that.
Sorry, I just
I'm
adjusted the size. There we go.
What's happening? That's not the right page.
Wait, where the fuck? There we go. Like I didn't know that.
Like I didn't know that. That was precisely why I decided to talk to her in the first... I think you're scrolling your mouse wheel and it's changing the size.
I just changed the size there and put more text on each page. I think I just halved the length of the book by doing that as well.
Like I didn't know that. That was precisely why I decided to talk to her in the first place. I was currently caught up in some supernatural mumbo-jumbo of my own. I had no idea who else to turn to. Certainly not my parents, teachers, or friends, let alone the police. I had no doubt they would just laugh it off, saying something like, "Where did you come up with that crazy idea?" Grasping at straws, I turned to this upperclassman, a girl who'd been ostracized for never once backing down from her declaration of, "I love the supernatural!" That love was on full display.
If you are an Esper, fucking alien or time traveler, please come see.
What's that from?
Haruhi Suzumiya.
Oh yeah, you're right. That love was on full display. This library is incredible. It's a treasure trove of mysteries and creepy rumors. The occult on parade.
And here's my favorite podcast.
Oh my god. She drew so close that I swore it was bad for my poor adolescent heart. And then she broke into a big grin. Throwing both arms wide open, she looked lovingly around her, taking in several deep breaths. Who, like, acts like this in real life, though? You know what I mean?
A killer.
It's like too... Like, even for anime, this is, like, too much. Like, she's in a library. Calm down.
I thought you were saying she's ill.
No, she's in a library, and he also has already said she's here every day.
But it's like an evil haunted library.
I suppose. It was nerve-wracking, the way her breath touched my forehead when she said...
How fucking close are they standing?
Oh, they're right. It's the tension is there, bro.
Where's
the two
Iris?
of us were surrounded by countless aisles of library stacks. Even though it was an early summer's afternoon, the lighting was dim and gloomy. Blame that on the black curtains lowered over the windows to prevent the books from yellowing. Apparently, the fluorescent lights arrayed along the ceiling were burnt out. They failed to offer any light at all. By the way, legally, are we allowed to read this if it's like a book?
It's Creative Commons, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, you're right, because it's SCP.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
Hopefully.
Put bluntly, it was one creepy library. Going by the stains and cracks along the walls, it was a rather old building. Mold and cobwebs completely overran places where damp had settled in. The place was practically in ruins. It was hard to believe the building was currently in use. I guess nobody wanted to set foot in that creepy facility, because I didn't see any librarians, let alone other patrons browsing the aisles. I thought you were here every day, bro. Senpai and I were the only ones there. Her voice carried so well it actually hurt my ears. Oblivious to me.
This guy is so fragile. He can't even handle, loud sounds.
Oblivious to me squinting in pain, she continued, her excited rant. Actually, there are so many weird rumors, I can't even remember them all. For instance, they say there's a demon that will pop out of a book here and grant any one wish in exchange for your soul. And if you crack open this one other unlabeled book, your fate will appear on the blank pages for you to read. If you stick your hand in the crack between the stacks, you can get drawn to another world. There are even a whole bunch of awesome... Whoops, hang on. There are even a whole bunch of awesome rumors. Oh, there's even one about a girl ghost who reads all by her lonesome self for all eternity in the girls' restroom. I'm dying.
The SCP's got
it got me. And that room's sealed shut. Actually, mind if I go to the little girl's room? You need his permission? Seeming to think nothing of asking that awkward question, she spun right around. She was on cloud 9. Seemed pretty safe to assume that her love of ghost stories was the real deal. Personally, I didn't care for that sort of thing. As far as I was concerned, an upperclassman going gaga over scary stories and creepy rumors just looked nuts. I hadn't come here for cheap thrills or ghost stories. Honestly, I was more than ready to leave. Now, about the strange phenomenon you experienced. Wait, so this girl has just been talking for 3 minutes without... He hasn't said a word.
Yeah.
She's just going on.
Presumably he said something and then the story began.
Now, about the strange phenomenon you experienced. Why don't we dub it the girl in the photos? I've never heard of anything like it. You might have something completely new on your hands. Too cool! She squealed, squirming in delight, pushing her face even closer to mine. I thought I might lose my mind.
Oh, no.
She was so dang close that her legs and chest brushed up against me.
This is safe to read, right? Not even legally at this point. This isn't going to escalate,
it's just
right?
typical, god-awful fan service. Oh, man, this reminds me when I was trying to read the Goblin Slayer light novels, because it's kind of like a guilty pleasure anime manga, just because I like the action. And it was the worst shit ever. It was so bad, dude. You can't read light novels. They're all like this. That's... Okay, she said. Okay, I'd like to take a sec to review what you told me, so be sure to correct me if I'm wrong about anything. The other day, you came to this library to do some of your summer homework, correct? Senpai must have noticed she was getting a little short on personal space, because she slid back a few steps before continuing. You had to write a personal reflection on a reading assignment, right? What a stupid piece of homework. But since you're a relatively diligent student, you decided to take it seriously and went to the nearest library. That just so happened to be here, right? And that's where you encountered the paranormal?
Has Joe said anything so far?
No.
He
rammed against the bookshelf hard. He's like Link.
Brain damaged.
Senpai picked up one of the books that had fallen earlier and began callously flipping through its pages. Wasn't there supposed to be a photo stuck inside every single book he picked up in the library? That was right. If it was as simple as that, it would be nothing to freak out about. I could dismiss it with the perfectly rational theory that someone who borrowed books from this library used photos instead of bookmarks and forgot to remove them before returning the books. But if that was the extent of the situation, it wouldn't have me so upset. I wouldn't turn to this weirdo for help either. No matter what book you grabbed and flipped open, there was the photo. The result was the same, regardless of which stacks or books you tried. Do you still have one, by any chance? No way. Oh, is he just responding mentally to her? Oh no, I lost him. He's gone.
I had to step away for a second. Sorry about that.
I think it's fine. I think he's just responding mentally to her because, look, in the narration, he's answering her question. No way.
There's so Professor X.
Stuff them back into the books I found them in.
I just imagine, I can imagine anything picture.
Coming out of holding on to one, and honestly, just making off with them didn't seem right. Aw, too bad. If you still had them, I could have used one to dig up a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, just so you know, it's not like I don't believe you or anything, okay? It's rare to find physical evidence in the world of the occult. Senpai cackled before a stirred expression suddenly crossed her face. All of this, well, could be explained logically. Someone could have contrived a highly elaborate prank. It just requires stuffing a photo in every book in this library. It's possible for me, or anyone else for that matter, to pull off with a bit of effort. But that's where things get really weird. Exactly. This was where the story took a turn for the truly paranormal. Even after you left, you found a picture of her stuck in every book you cracked open. It didn't matter if it was a school textbook, a book for sale at the convenience store, a manga magazine that you borrowed from a friend, or part of the ancient masterpiece collection your parents have on display in the bookcase at home. These photos appear in any and all books you open, anywhere, without exception, right? Right. There was obviously something weird going on here. No logical explanation could cover this. It was truly a supernatural phenomenon. Honestly, not the worst one in the SCP universe by far. Yeah, way worse.
At least you don't have the hive bones.
Can you take over for a bit? My throat.
Absolutely, I can. Was someone going ahead of me and stuffing photos in every book I might possibly open? Sorry, I tried to accent for a second. I tried to change my mind. I couldn't see what anyone had to gain from that. It was far too unrealistic for anyone to pull off. I found it hard to imagine there was a person or organisation who would benefit from me finding pictures stuck inside books.
He could answer that question by literally going to a bookstore, buying a plastic-wrapped book, and opening it.
Right, presumably he did. Whenever I found them, it always served to startle me. It wasn't as if the rate of my pulse and the speed of Earth's rotation were linked, so there wasn't anything to gain spooking a guy like me. The possibility that someone hated me to death and was doing this to torment me didn't seem likely either. The life I led shouldn't incur such spite. I was like any other mundane high school boy out there. Besides, if someone was going to bully me, a better plan would be to stick in something gross, or at least use a more disturbing photo. Oh no. But each time I found a photo stuck inside a book, it was of the same cute girl. Oh no, how are they going to fucking... I assume that girl's an acquaintance of yours. Or is she not? Anyway, here's my performance. Said by frown thoughtfully. You could practically hear the gears turning in her head. Dr. Gears. Confirmation.
Yeah, he's real.
And he's an anime girl now.
Yeah.
I could give her a clear answer on this one. I was absolutely certain I'd never met the girl before. She was a complete and total stranger. Although I didn't possess a mind so brilliant that I could remember every single person I'd met, nothing had come to me even after pulling my hair out and racking my brain in an attempt to remember her. I was drawing a blank. I'd definitely never seen her before. I couldn't see how I had anything to do with this unfamiliar girl. What's more, she was a foreigner, probably a Westerner. Oh, no, please no.
Go ahead, read it.
Although it was difficult for a Japanese guy like myself, this is the narrator speaking, to guess the age of a Caucasian. I thought she was probably around my age, either in her early 20s or late teens. With a kind, warm-hearted expression, her pretty face was reminiscent of a flower in bloom. Neither her eyes nor her hair.
Gonna go to the bar and start telling chicks that their face is reminiscent of a flower in bloom. See how that goes.
Every picture I open, you're in it. Neither her eyes nor her hair were particularly unusual colours, but appeared to be shades rather common for Westerners. They're not actually just going to say the colour at any point?
No.
But her extended slightly below the shoulders, generally worn loose rather than kept back, although she would bind it with a cheap-looking hair tie. Was well, judging the hair tie?
Who can say?
No matter what, there was always an ancient camera in her hands. It gave her a vivacious air somehow, like a newspaper journalist. The casual attire showed a disinterested fashion. Most of her outfits were clearly second-hand.
Oh my god, he's so judgy. Mundane my ass!
She was such a normal, happy-looking girl, it seemed weird to call these photos of her ghost photographs. Highly intrigued, Senpai crossed her arms and fell into deep thought. Oh no. I read ahead again. Finally, she said, I wonder who she is. I've never heard of anything like this before. I'm certain she must be related to you somehow. After all, no one else has ever seen the girl in the photos. I checked online to see if anyone else shared... I checked online on Parawatch to see if anyone else shared a similar experience, but no hits came up. Well, that was less than helpful. I really truly did not know this girl. Based on their genetic traits, I felt like Senpai was way closer to being related to the girl than I was.
This is truly the
What did he mean by this? What did he mean by this?
I guess because they're like, I don't know, like white and blonde or something, but still, it's like, I don't know. It's making me uncomfortable the way they word it.
After thinking good and hard, Senpai held her head in her hands. Its distinct features... Oh my god! Revealing her own foreign ancestry. What does that mean?
This is truly the light novel, least insane light novel. Have you ever read a light novel? They're all this terrible. It's pretty bad.
She cried out, "Yeah, I just don't know. This is too far out there. It would have made things way easier if the girl in the photos prevented the threats by putting a deadly curse on you. That makes it a standing ghost story. But as things stand, I have no idea what this girl is trying to do. I didn't want to die of some curse. Sure, this was a pretty creepy situation, but it seems ultimately harmless, so at least I wasn't living in fear. I was simply curious what was up with the pictures, and the girl in them. It was also a bit depressing to think photos like this would appear in any book I cracked open for the rest of my, hopefully long, life.
Depressed at the idea of looking at a foreigner. God.
I mean, like, it's the second it takes to take the photo out. If at all possible, I wanted to do something about the supernatural phenomenon. If only you knew who this girl was. Could you try to figure it out? If I know her name and nationality, I might be able to find something online, you know? What a stupid comment. If I know who she is, I might be able to find out who she is. Senpai's question had me at loss. All the photographs I'd found thus far shared almost the exact same layout. There were minor deviations between each photo, but the overall image didn't change. There was a girl in the centre. The shots were extremely zoomed in. Close-ups of her face and the upper portion of her body. You can see the majority of the frame.
What the fuck is Iris's power again? I know
she can reach into photos and manipulate what's in them.
Okay.
When the background was visible, it was usually just a boring grey concrete wall, a nondescript environment that only vaguely evoked speculation that she could be in a hospital, prison, or research institution. No one other than the girl ever appeared in the photographs, and she didn't do anything to offer insight regarding her personality. She was either daydreaming, staring at me, or sleeping. They were simple photos, akin to the ones used for passports and resumes. Without the sleuthing skills of a great detective, I had no hope of discerning her identity. Okay. I guess her identity is just one of the things we'll have to start looking into. I'll give you my full support, so don't worry. Let's make the most of your miraculous encounter with the occult in this cut and dry modern world we live in. Let's give it all up, our old partner. Put her there.
Hold on. I'm also thinking now that there's already a plot hole here, right?
What's the plot hole?
So in the beginning, he was like, in the age where you can read manga on your smartphone, I don't like reading physical books. I don't care about reading them. I just read everything on my phone. I'm here for this girl.
Like no, you never said that. You assumed that.
Yeah, I did. Go back to the beginning.
No, it's implied, but it was a false implication. Because he's really here, because he's got the spooky photo phenomenon going on.
Why would they... But the whole thing's been from his perspective so far.
No, he never actually says that, though. The wording suggests it, but he never said that. It was clever writing from my friend Akira.
Okay. Sure. Whatever.
He said, I was only here for one reason, and then she shows up, so you assume. But it's actually because he's got a scary photo.
Yeah, but no, let me hear you out. So, he says he's here for that reason, but he doesn't like reading physical books.
I guess he still doesn't want, like, magic photos appearing in every book he ever reads.
But if he doesn't like reading physical books, like, this won't be that big of a deal, right? Like, whatever.
Showing absolutely no signs of calming down, Senpai forced me into a handshake and began swinging our arms up and down. Apparently, it was probably rare to encounter such a bizarre phenomenon in the 21st century, a time when science flourished. I thought you meant a handshake for a second. I bet Senpai, editors, translators, you've got to capitalise it.
Heartbeat shotgun.
Didn't want to let this chance, if you could call it that, slip her by. Although Senpai was a weirdo who made it no secret she was only doing this to sate her own curiosity, it felt kind of nice getting the whole thing off my chest. Keeping it to myself was starting to wear me down. All right. With that settled, let's start our investigation with a few tests. Senpai began carefully checking the book, still in her hands, one page at a time. It doesn't look like any pictures are stashed in this one. Senpai took her time, examining it carefully. The cover is intentionally designed so that you can't remove it, which makes sense. It's a library book. I don't see anywhere a photo could be hiding. She proceeded to hand it to me and continued. So next I want you to try. Unless you're a top-notch magician, it really will be a supernatural phenomenon if you pull one of those photos out of this book. Oh, I'm so excited. I held the book Senpai had just confirmed as photo-free. As she said, it was physically impossible for a photograph to slip from its pages. Unless, of course, Senpai was feeling mischievous and decided to play a stupid trick on me by slipping a photo in right before handing it over. I'd never spoken to her before now. I didn't exactly trust her 100%. On the other hand, that meant there was no reason for her to tease or deceive me. Honestly, I'd never get anywhere if I kept on doubting every little thing. Feeling a little nervous, I popped open the book and briskly thumbed through the pages. Well, is it there? Where's the photo? Actually, hold up, I'm going to document this. I'm going to record it on my smartphone, so give me a sec. This is so cool. I hope I get to witness the big moment. It was so exciting. She was practically vibrating. It was downright annoying. I was too preoccupied with my own issues to pay her any heed. As I casually flip through the pages, like I would any other book, I found it. Can I pop onto you for a bit?
Yeah. The photo appeared, tucked into the fold right down the center of the spine. Cold chills ran down my back. Huh? No way! Are you kidding me? Senpai got her phone out of her pocket, but filming proved a bigger challenge. The phone slipped right out of her hands. She flailed after it, eyes wide in amazement. I was struck speechless. Just like always, a photo had appeared in the book I was holding. It was flipped backwards, so I instinctively touched the photo to turn it around. The photo was of none other than... Let me see! I want to see! Come on, Joe! Senpai cried, her piercing voice growing suddenly distant. As the sound of her cries faded, a lukewarm sensation slowly engulfed my entire body. It was unlike anything I had ever experienced before, like I was being cupped inside a giant hand. My gaze fell upon the image imprinted on the small, standard-sized photo. The mysterious girl in the photos looked back up at me, wearing a faintly troubled smile. Ooh. Wait, that's it?
No next chapter.
No, I know, but now it's a different SCP. What's going on here? Dan, I gotta be honest. Reading this is putting me through the ringer in terms of books.
I'm enjoying.
We're only 25 minutes in.
I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah. Okay. SCP-458, the never-ending pizza box. After blinking several times, it dawned on me that I was on unfamiliar ground. The air, the smell, and taste of it was completely different from before. Up until now, my surroundings had been filled with the dusty, musty odor unique to decrepit buildings. After all, I was in the dilapidated ruins of a library. Without any form of air conditioning on hand, simply being inside... Has anything happened in the story yet?
I think you just got isekai'd. I'm not sure.
Without any form of air conditioning on hand, simply being inside the humid library in the heat of summer made me work up a sweat. But now I felt strangely cold, to the point I was getting goosebumps even. The smell drifting in the air reminded me of the poignant stench of medicine in hospitals. In fact, the room was cramped, like a hospital room. It had gray concrete walls just like the ones I occasionally saw in the background of the photos of that girl. Although they were clean, the floor, walls, and ceiling were all that same boring gray. A bare light bulb hung from the ceiling. Next to me was a small stand, like the ones people kept landline phones on. For some odd reason, an antique brooch that looked like it might have archaeological value had been thoughtlessly dumped on its surface. Strangely, I didn't notice any doors or windows. It felt more like I was in a box than a room. Stuck in this cubicle room, the wild idea that I'd somehow managed to travel inside the photo hit me. Vision reeling, I crumpled to the ground.
Oh my god, you just feel like disintegrated.
He's over.
It's like a cartoon where like he turns it's like dust in his eyes, just go beep, 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 beep.
I do like how visceral the descriptions are for things that are not big deals. Like how he rammed into the bookshelf. He's crumpled to the ground.
He crumbles.
He crumbled. As if on cue, the book with the photo slipped out of my hands and clattered across the floor. I saw now that the title of the worn book was Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There. I'd never read it before, so I wasn't totally sure what it was about. Well, I think it's about what Alice found through the looking glass. Stranger still, the photo I was holding along with the book vanished, as if it was nothing more than an illusion, a figment of a dream. And instead, the girl stood before me. "Joe?" she asked, in something that sounded like English.
I don't think she said Joe, I think she said English he doesn't understand. wait, it's like...
Dang, it really was the girl in the photos. The pictures were always either headshots or three-quarter shots, so this was my first time getting a full view of her. I suspected she was a perfectly normal human without so much as an inch of mystique. She was a young foreigner, around the same age as me. Loosely hanging hair spread around and over her shoulders. Her eyes were big and round. She was wearing plain clothes, socks with cute cartoonish bears.
He's looking at her socks.
Fluffy slippers. She continues to cradle the clunky camera as if it were a stuffed animal, looking down at me with a troubled expression on her face. It seemed like the girl was asking me something out of concern, but I still couldn't make out what she was saying. I couldn't understand her. Although she was probably speaking in English, the real deal was nothing like what was taught at school. Even if I knew the grammar, I couldn't hold my own in a conversation.
Damning indictment of the Japanese school system, I guess.
I mean, hey, can you remember any... Do you remember any French at all?
Television, hamburger.
Yeah, you
don't
even know how to say hamburger.
Ça va?
Ça va?
Ça va?
Can you have a conversation in French?
I could ask people if they're okay. Ça va?
Nice.
And that's
Honestly,
all you need to understand your fellow man.
What do you remember from your studies of Japanese? Can you ask, are you okay?
I could apologize in a couple of different ways.
Wow. Telling that's what you learned first.
That's why I didn't pick what to learn first. It's what it taught me.
You go to Japan and they're like, wow, did you write 5,000? You're just like, sorry. I'm so sorry. Honestly,
it's much the same as in English.
It didn't help that my head was a jumbled mess either. I doubted I could give her a decent answer, even if she started talking to me in good old Japanese. My mind reeling. I looked like a goldfish, flapping my mouth open and shut. I couldn't make heads or tails of what was going on. As if prompted by the sight of me in such a sorry state, she kindly offered me her hand. My back had given out on me after all. Gingerly grabbing her fingertips, I could feel her body heat. I knew exactly how normal people felt, and she felt no different. Who are you? The girl asked in a slow, clear voice, carefully punctuating each word. Hooray for junior high-level English. Even I could understand that. She was asking who I was. But seriously, that was what I wanted to ask her. In any case, I was somewhat relieved by her rather friendly disposition, so I decided to go ahead and introduce him. I was like, okay, so we're never going to hear him talk. That's a shame. I was planning a pathetic attempt at communicating by mustering all of the English vocabulary.
But if he talks, there's no way you could be him, don't you understand?
I see. Someone whacked me with all their might on the back of the head. I swiftly fell unconscious.
Well, this became so fucking grim and he got, experimented on.
That would be hilarious. I think that would be a great direction for the book.
Imagine getting isekai into the fucking SCP universe.
Did I ever tell you? I think I did, about, the concept I wanted to run at some point.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that would be fun. So when I regained consciousness, I briefly thought I was still dreaming. But I really was in a place that was completely foreign to me.
America.
The grimy the grimy foreign place. Ugh. The grimy ceiling didn't match the one in my bedroom, which I knew like the back of my hand. The place stank of ammonia. I anxiously shot up, trembling. Where the heck was this? It wasn't the same cramped room I was in right before I got knocked out. The place screamed prison cell, with an area roughly 9 feet by 9 feet. Whoa.
The ratio.
That's the key. I was lying in a simple bed bolted to the ground. It was furnished with a scratchy blanket and sheets, along with a hard pillow. Facing the end of my outstretched legs was a narrow entrance fitted with iron bars. The air on the other side was bustling with the presence of people and their voices. The room only had one light bulb, small enough that I could probably wrap one hand around it. If that weren't bad enough, the darn thing kept flickering on and off. Perhaps the lights were turned off outside the room. It seemed that way anyhow, because it was so dark that I could hardly make anything out. I strove to comprehend the situation I found myself in, timidly hugging the blanket that had been placed over me.
Begin SCP-6H2 test.
Where was I? What happened? It didn't make any sense. My mind swirling, I quietly got off the bed to make my way to the barred door. It didn't occur to me until then, but apparently someone had changed my clothes while I was out cold. Prior to now, I'd been wearing my high school uniform like always. After dutifully attending class, I'd headed straight to the library with that weird girl. Although I had no recollection of changing, I was currently wearing an unfamiliar khaki outfit that reminded me of workwear.
I realized.
Not only did it feel... What?
He says something very strange in a minute.
Not only did it feel brand new, but so did the underwear. The cold ground bit my bare feet to the bone. Not only did someone change my clothes while I was unconscious, it felt like my body had been washed squeaky clean as well. All of my skin stung, like I'd been given a body scrub, and I smelled of soap. It'd be waking up to find myself sullied, but it still put a bad taste.
What did he mean by this?
Upon approaching the door, I wrapped my hands around the iron bars and tried to shake them. They wouldn't so much as budge. Directly across from me was another small cell, just like mine, hosting a middle-aged man who was also wearing khaki workwear. He was sitting on his bed with his head resting against the wall, muttering who knows what. Based on the man's red hair and facial features, it was safe to assume he was a foreigner.
Oh, no.
Glad we got that ruled out. Honestly, if you're surrounded by all quote-unquote foreigners, are you not the one who is the foreigner?
Exactly.
He was extremely muscular and appeared to have some sort of strange tattoos ringing his neck.
Not tattoos.
It was painfully obvious he wasn't the sort to trifle with, and I sincerely doubted he understood Japanese anyway, lowly foreigner. Lacking the courage to call out to him,
He doesn't say that.
Dumbly. What was this place? I decided to try unraveling that mystery. Did I get mixed up in some crime? Had I been abducted by some random criminal who was keeping me imprisoned? But to what end, and why me? It all felt so surreal. I wanted to believe it was all just a dream, but the cold floor, the pervasive discomfort, and the throbbing where my head was struck when I got knocked out, all of it was very much real. But if this wasn't a dream, what was it? At my wit's end, my mind shut down. I wanted to break down into tears.
Don't cry.
Joe? Came a voice from nowhere. Even as I jumped, the sounds of footsteps grew closer. I didn't have to wait long before someone suddenly showed their face on the other side of the iron bars. It was the girl in the photos. After all this time, I still didn't know her name. She was still wearing the same outfit I saw her in before I was knocked out, but her camera wasn't with her this time. That struck me as horribly strange. I had this weird mental image that her and the camera came as a package deal. Although I didn't even know this mysterious girl well enough to call her an acquaintance, I also felt an inexplicable closeness after seeing her countless times in the photos. Perhaps she felt the same, for she began to speak to me rather casually. She spoke in what truly did sound like English, but I couldn't understand any of it. Seeing that I was having trouble, the girl in the photos nodded her head several times before walking out of view. I could hear her talking in English to somebody a short distance away. My lip's starting to really hurt. Can you...
Yeah, sure.
Can you...
A few minutes later, the girl in the photos, who was now out of the photos, returned in much the same manner as she originally came and offered me a big grin. When she did, the barred door slowly began to open. Evidently an electrically controlled automatic door, it opened on its own. Seeing as I was holding the bars at the time, this made me literally jump back in surprise. Murmur! The girl in the photos actually waited for the door to fully open, before looking up at me and waving me over. I was afraid that I might have misinterpreted what she meant, but gingerly stepped out into the corridor anyway. I wanted to be like SCP-173, it's just like horrifying.
Just cuts his neck immediately. I gotta be honest, like, aside from the wacky elements, the story is boring the fuck out of me. Literally nothing has happened. It's all, like, reactions and getting the same info over and over.
I looked around, let me speed things up. I looked around, and the darkness impaired my vision. Apparently there was an endless series of small rooms that were let us in, akin to solitary confinement cells. There was neither rhyme nor reason to the age or ethnicity of the people sleeping or chatting inside the cells, but they had one thing in common. They all donned the same khaki workwear. Distracted by that, I fell behind the girl, who was already making her way down the corridor. She only stopped to look over her shoulder once and jerked her chin as to say, "Aren't you coming?" I silently followed her like a good little puppy.
Hold on. Run that back. What?
When they noticed us, the people in the cells began to shout and reach out for us through the gaps in the bar like, "Fish, fish!" Mama! The girl in the photo scolded them, looking like a peeved cat. It's a Discord mod. It didn't hurry me along. She marched up to me and snatched my hand. Oh! She practically dragged me away from there. I still didn't have any good grasp on the situation I was in, but simply holding the girl in the photo's hand strangely calmed me. I doubt she meant me any harm. In fact, I could tell she was on my side. This guy's like a stalker. The girl led me around for a few minutes. I wasn't sure if there was a prison, a hospital, or even a research facility, but whatever it was, the building seemed massive. It was impossible to count all the doors dispersed across the plain, nearly identical corridors. They broke off into a seemingly infinite number of branches. This is actually, I actually lied you down, this is the Backrooms light novel. Many of the doors had the letters SCP written on them. I had absolutely no idea what that meant. After walking to the point my feet were starting to grow a bit sore, the girl in the photos came to a stop. There was a randomly placed door in the corridor with a device that resembled an interphone built into the wall next to it. What? Standing on tiptoe, the girl in the photos held something like a card key up to the device. It must have served as some sort of verification, for the door slid open. She unlocked the door. Please, just you can say that. "Come in," she said, again in English simple enough for me to understand. She curled her fingers towards the palm of her extended hand in a beckoning gesture. She beckoned. Just say that.
Beckoned.
With her urge.
It really does feel like between nothing happening and like the way they write, it does feel like this is straight up just like inflating the word
This is a
count
light
to,
novel,
like,
right? It's meant to be short. You can cut the sentences down.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they couldn't write like an actual long enough story, so they just filled it with shit to make it light novel length.
We're not even 20
It's okay
pages
to just
in.
make a small short story. Just don't make me go through this.
With her urging me along, I entered the room a few steps behind her. I could only assume she did something because the lights popped right on. She turned the lights on. As a result, I was able to get a full view of the room. From the looks of it, this was a cafeteria. I'm going to edit this as I'm going. The place was saturated with the smell of food. Multiple sets of tables and chairs filled a space roughly the size of a high school classroom. A wall-mounted exhaust fan stood around and round. Someone apparently forgot to clean up after himself, leaving a plate, fork, and coffee cup abandoned on one of the tables. Seeing as the room was desolate aside from the two of us, it was safe to assume this wasn't mealtime. The girl trudged over to the nearest chair, pulled it out, and plunked right down. She motioned me over with her eyes, so I took a seat directly across from her. The girl seemed antsy, swinging her legs back and forth. She studied me. "Mama," she said, but I couldn't understand her for the life of me. Man, if I knew this was going to happen, I would have taken my English classes more seriously. I'm not open to that evil book. She must have found our inability to communicate just as aggravating, because she scrunched the bridge of her nose in annoyance as she repeated the beckoning motion, flicking her finger towards herself. I got the feeling she was saying lean toward me, so I did just that. The way I leaned in could easily be confused with the gesture for requesting a kiss, so I was a bit nervous. Fucking hell, this guy. Rather than indulge in any amorous pursuits, the girl pulled out a collar of sorts from somewhere and attached it to my neck. Taken by surprise, I was like a deer caught in headlights. Oh my god.
She's throwing him into fucking Dark Side Rainbow. This is bomb collar.
Like it's time for your test to see if you can destroy the hard to destroy lizard.
This isn't a story about Iris. This is a fucking light novel about a guy becoming a D-class.
We got a picture.
That is not the same girl as from the earlier picture.
Damn.
I'm so confused.
Look at this guy's hair. It's over his eyes. It's so over.
That's how you know.
What are those drippy gloves she's got? Why have you got fingerless
I know
gloves?
it's supposed to be for like characters you project yourself.
Well, there you
on.
go.
Like, I always, I don't know. It just feels, every time I see a character with hair over the eyes, I only have bad thoughts.
Can I come back to you for a little bit?
Yeah, or we could just stop reading this. We don't have to keep it. We can choose at any moment
I paid £10 for this. We're getting an episode out of it at least.
My lord. Okay. We should just hire someone else to read this for us. The ring hung loosely around my neck. It seemed like a cheap rubber collar. I was flabbergasted, unable to discern what would compel her to do such a thing. But I was in for an even greater shock mere moments later. Oh, it's like a translation collar. Are you able to understand me now? Do you comprehend what I'm saying? A response would be most appreciated. God damn it. Although somewhat stilted, she was speaking in Japanese. Actually, it sounded like she was still talking in English, which was converted to Japanese for me to understand without any time lag. I think, bluntly put, it was really weird and hard to describe. Had putting on this strange collar made me suddenly proficient in English? It was a bizarre, almost magical experience. Huh? Was it no good after all? I didn't want to use the clockworks if I could avoid it, since the results are so unpredictable. But none of our Japanese-speaking personnel are present, and we don't have any translation devices on hand. The girl in the photos kept going on about stuff that went over my head. So I cut in, responding to her in Japanese. Although it came out faltering, I tried to tell her not to worry, that for some odd reason I could understand the meaning of the words coming from her mouth. She broke into a broad smile and gave an over-exaggerated sigh of relief. Ah, thank goodness. It would be inconvenient if we couldn't ascertain mutual understanding. It makes anyone, even a humanoid SCP object, substantially easier to deal with if you can hold a conversation.
This girl talking like she isn't an SCP.
Yeah, this is like things you don't need to tell people. Like, it's easier to communicate.
Yeah, but she thinks she's on the team.
She explained, throwing in a few terms I didn't recognize. Once finished, the girl pulled out of her chair. She went to the other side of the counter along the wall and began making a ruckus, shuffling things around. Do you like coffee? I have to load mine with gobs of sugar and milk. Oh, are you hungry? At the very least, I could warm up a frozen dinner for you, she offered, holding a siphon in one hand. Not thinking, I instinctively told her that I was good. It's hard to pick up little nuances with this. There's no need to hold back, inhabitant of Japan. How much longer can I do this?
Until you die. Until you fucking drop.
I'm going to call you an inhabitant of England from now on. Not exactly what you'd call a perfect translation. She took her time preparing the coffee. Wait, hold on. What is the word she actually used then? I'm curious.
What do you mean? I don't know, like Japanese. Which is weird.
Yeah,
she
we
said
said Japanese guy, and it was like inhabitant of Japan. As if an afterthought, a way to kill time, she finally got around to sharing her name. I guess we should start with introductions. I'm Iris Thompson, although I'm also called SCP-105. If possible, please just call me Iris. The girl in the photos offered a moment's silence. You don't have to call her that anymore! You have her name! It's over! She offered a moment's silence to indicate it was my turn now. My god, this is like the most like... I don't want to just keep harping the same thing over and over because that's not interesting for the podcast. But it really does feel like this whole thing was just like they had a word count they had to hit. And they needed to fill it with as much like unnecessary
Show me the lizard. We can take up some words with the lizard, at least. Folks love the lizard.
Joe? You're called Joe, right? In Japan, is that a common name? It sounds so mysterious.
Joe Mama.
Sorry. But you are Japanese, aren't you? Okay, so Japanese wasn't the word when it said inhabitant of Japan. So what did she say?
Well, I guess she was assuming.
It certainly sounds like that's what you're speaking anyway. I acknowledged that she was right, and then I proceeded to tell her briefly about myself. Uh-huh, I see. So you attend senior high school in Prefecture, Japan. One moment, please. I want to jot this down. Due to hearing translations of what you said, I'm not sure I heard the names correctly. If I could locate them, I might be able to discern...
She really thinks she's on the team.
What does that mean?
She's not an SCP, she's strategic containment.
Well, isn't Iris's whole thing that she's like on the squad?
Yeah, but they're still like in prisons.
Yeah, I guess.
She thinks she's on the team.
Apparently, the pot of coffee came out a success because Iris came back with a cup in each hand. Who else was on the Avengers? It was like her,
yeah,
Abel,
some other mostly irrelevant fuckers.
Yeah. Walked over carefully, trying not to spill any. Ugh. Here you go. She handed me a cup, holding on to her own as she hunkered back down in her chair. By the way, this place is located in the United States of America. Not that you know where that is. I don't think you're allowed to tell them that. Isn't this like a super secret location?
This guy's never leaving.
Oh. It isn't marked on the map, after all. This is a covert facility working under the cover story that it belongs to the government. In fact, Iris said, this is a stock standard research facility for the SCP Foundation. It seemed like she was observing my reactions as she spoke. That's what people do. She probably thought she was stealthily analyzing me, but her inexperience was showing through. It was so obvious what she was doing. It was actually so much. Our eyes happened to lock, and she quickly turned away. Speaking of which, Iris wondered, have you ever heard of the SCP Foundation?
Like 4chan, right?
I've been wondering about that sequence. That sequence of 3 alphabet letters ever since I saw them earlier. They seemed like initials for something, but I was unfortunately ignorant as to what. Oh, so you don't know? Really? Well, if push comes to shove, she whispered to herself, we can always administer amnestics and implant false memories. What a blood-curdling notion. I suppose there's no harm in going over it. She shifted to face me head-on. Okay, so to keep this brief, I'll just give you a quick outline about the SCP Foundation. Your turn.
Mr. Mama? May I just call you Mama instead? Iris started out with a rather trivial question. When I nodded my head to indicate that I didn't mind... When I nodded, she broke out into a giant grin. I appreciate it.
You know, why did he nod? I need that information. What else could it have meant?
Was it an involuntary movement? Was he having brain issues? Well, I don't know. I appreciate it. I realise it's coming on a bit strong when you just met, but I hate acting all stiff and formal. Why is she like this? Whenever I put my best manners on, I get a cramp in my cheek from all that fake smiling. As if to prove it, she pulled her cheeks out in imitation of a forced smile. I'm going to ask you, Darnell, I don't think this is getting the anime adaptation.
I don't think this is getting...
We're
11% of the way through the book.
Like, if there was like a 12-season anime, I feel like we're like halfway through episode 1 right now. Nothing's fucking happens.
It's awful.
Each and every one of our...
We're in the first 5 minutes still. We're in like the intro sequence.
They might even skip this in the adaptation. Each and every one of Iris' expressions were rich from emotion. Her movements were large and exaggerated. I guess foreigners were generally a bit over the top compared to Japanese in that regard.
Jesus fuck. I can't wait for the light novel for Aetheral Space.
As such irrelevant thoughts were passing through my head, Iris suddenly looked very serious. At any rate, Joe, tell me, do you believe in God? That rang pretty oddly to my Japanese atheist ears.
What?
Why would she ask such a question? Was she a church
My
missionary?
Japanese atheist ears? What does that mean?
He's Japanese and an atheist. I don't know what the confusion is.
Japanese, atheist. Why is the Japanese part even relevant?
I don't know.
Or atheist. It's just a question.
I guess it's like a Christian viewpoint, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, but like, there's like, I guess. There's other religions. There's a ton of religions in Japan.
Thoughts like that ran through my head as I shrunk back a bit. Seeing my reaction, Iris nodded knowingly. She understood that I was a Japanese atheist and threw out more questions. Then do you think aliens exist? Do you believe in the existence of monsters, demons, ghosts, fairies, angels, big feet? What about other non-human life forms or superior beings? Have you personally witnessed magic, miracles, psychic powers, or other supernatural phenomena that ignores the laws of the natural world? Or do you believe it's possible for such phenomena to occur? Although Iris slung questions at me one after another, I was unable to throw any answers back. In all honesty, I was a little scared. Despite the friendly, down-to-earth impression she gave, Iris just started to spout out incomprehensible nonsense along the same lines as that a cult fanatic upperclassman. And she just kept going on and on. It had me pretty freaked out. Aliens? Psychic powers? What the heck is this chick going on about?
Oh my god, just do something or say something, bro.
Show me the wizard! Like crap only exists.
We just read her ask you that.
That crap only existed in movies and comics. Here in the real world, all of that was impossible. You teleported. Back when I was little, there was a time I believed there might be something out there beyond the scope of rational thoughts. I even believed in Santa. But as I underwent my compulsory education, what the fuck are you talking about? I attained a certain degree of knowledge and experience. It's so strange, because like, Joe's meant to be like the everyman, but he's so fucking weird.
Yeah,
I can't.
Like, he's like, is this like the fucking like light novel version of like a Reddit atheist?
I don't know. Like, I don't think he'd do well.
He's
I don't think
he'd do well. Once I went to middle
on Reddit.
school, I realized that God was bullshit.
Well, he said Santa. With that,
Santa was just a lie.
With that, I came to learn the supernatural was all just fabrications concocted in someone's head, or a bunch of baloney. I was a modern-day high school boy with a good head on his shoulders. I wasn't about to fall for any of this nonsense. You teleported, my guy. Neither gods nor demons dwelt in our world, and a person couldn't move a pebble with his mind. Scientists...
But they do dwell in my fists tonight. Did you get that one? In One Punch Man thing, he says, gods dwell in my fists tonight.
Oh, okay. Scientists already finished explaining
this is
all
so
the things...
Sad. You were the only one who was supposed to
You thought I was strong
that.
enough. So, I thought you were stronger. Scientists
have not already finished
all the things
explaining
Watcher made was divine ages ago, leaving the world bereft of any mystery or mystique.
That is literally blatantly false. There are plenty of things we still don't understand and are figuring out.
No, we understand everything.
Okay.
But not so fast. I was experiencing something strange that neither logic nor science could explain. I was right in the midst of a surreal situation, like something out of a fairy tale. No matter what book I picked up, there was the photo took to that. And I was holding a conversation face to face with a mysterious girl, Iris Thompson, who always appeared in these photos. If I took her words as truth, I was in a research facility clear on the other side of the world, off somewhere in America. This whole situation was so surreal, it felt like a dream. Was it possible for something so mysterious to happen in this world of ours? Please remain calm and hear me out, Iris said. She waited for the cascade of thoughts to finish racing through my mind before continuing. She must be waiting for fucking hours. I've noticed you are an extremely normal...
He's just like sitting there frozen, and he has to get through all the words in his head unnecessarily.
This is like the biggest load of bullshit he comes out with now. I've noticed you're an extremely normal, sensible person based on your reactions. I believe I had a similar reaction when I first told about the SCP Foundation myself. I laughed it off as stupid, only to turn around and think of my brush with the strange. I was dumbstruck when I realised what they meant. She explained earnestly, twirling her finger the whole time like a conductor's baton, finger moving with the ease of habit. Everyone moves their finger.
What?
In this story I noticed. Skipping straight to the point, monsters and all that paranormal stuff that surpass all rational thought really do exist. Just counting the ones I know, there are 1, 2, 3. Honestly, I know too many to count on 2 hands. She's
count them.
Yeah,
1, 2,
there's 3 SCPs. She said she opened both hands and ticked something off on her fingers before giving up and turning to look me square in the eye. That goes to show just how many of those things are out there. So anywhere from 11 to like infinite.
Yeah.
These things.
Let's finish this page and then I think we're done now.
As in aliens, ghosts, and people with psychic powers, they really existed? Yes. For example, the old man is capable of causing any solid matter to corrode at a touch. Is particularly fond of killing people with its corrosive power. There are superior beings akin to the gods or demons portrayed in mythology that surpass mankind in any number of ways. And a researcher who could make countless duplicates of his mind. He travels the world by possessing various people and things.
Oh no.
Escape pods, prevent the escape pods. Iris listed these spine-chilling examples in her adorable voice. I didn't realise it was meant to be adorable. Let me read that again.
Yes. For example, the old man is capable of causing any solid matter
don't
to
read it.
I
can't. Just shut up. Just shut up. I'll retroactively assume it was adorable. Just finish this and my pain.
And I think that's where we're going to leave off.
I
would say post in the comments if you want more, but I know you don't want more.
I don't want more. Does that matter to you at all?
I
can't read this anymore.
Don't want more. So I think I'll wait for
there
the
are
anime
a lot of
adaptation,
episodes. Most of what we've read, I consider good. We've read a few bad articles, stuff that new people who didn't know better. We've read Bright's proposal. I don't think we've ever read something that was so mind-numbingly boring to read with nothing going on. Like, that the only fun was things we spawned ourselves. Like, that was awful. Because even bad things are fun to read. That was just awful. I felt like I was reading like a 15-year-old's essay that he tried to extend like 6 pages with like filler words. It was the worst thing I've ever read in my life. I don't want to go back to it. Please, Stan. I'm begging you. Did anything even happen?
Yeah.
He talked to a girl, teleported, and then Iris started explaining SCP. That was like a 10th of the book. Ugh, sorry, that pissed me off. Anyway, what are you going to rate it?
3 out of 10.
I'm thinking 14 out of 10.
Oh, you actually loved it.
I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10.
Actually, you may be right, 2 out of 10. I'm sorry, I didn't like it.
Yeah, that was brutally awful. Oh, but thank you for buying it. If you need me to cover the half of the price, I will. But Jesus fuck, what a
It's
nightmare.
fine.
Whoever recommended it to us, you're going in the
I don't think anyone actually recommended. I don't really know.
I think someone just
mentioned
it. And then I, in my ignorance, was like, "Oh, let's read that. We gotta read that. I like anime." Never again.
So you recommended
Never
it?
Fucking again.
This is your fault.
Maybe. Send me to the dungeon.
Well,
but before you send me to the dungeon, we have to read the comments. We actually didn't get too much on this latest episode, Sag.
That's going to all change once we read the Irish through the Looking Glass.
Oh, yeah, that's going to change everything. What should we even call this episode?
Irish through the Looking Glass. I don't want to devote any more effort to it than that.
Perfect. Nothing to do with foreigners?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Crowcat says, when I first read this, the most entertaining part was the ending. When I listened to the most entertaining part was the exploration log. Arcadian Lakshya says, great new episode, guys. Absolutely love this podcast. Probably my favorite SCP podcast. If I can make a recommendation, I'd love it if you guys looked at the red tape canon. I particularly like the implication at the end of Rounderhouse's Jade Proposal 001, Mam Julin Korar. Red tape canon, have you heard of that?
Not personally. I've heard the name. I don't really know anything about it, though.
Maybe Arcadian Luxious, maybe. JTKC says, finally available to comment on the episode now that semester is over. Very awesome. And a very epic episode to get back to as well. Brings back up memories of Agent Michaels and the absolute chaos of that whole debacle. Agent Michaels is dead. We buried him.
I don't remember his
he'll
voice.
never come back.
What did he sound like again?
I really like this. No.
Like this? No, he didn't sound like that.
No, it's recorded. You can go back to the episode called Agent Michaels.
Yes. It's clearly labeled.
I really like this article, and the twist was pretty funny. The part where Dr. Clef said, sorry, Shaggy, there'll be no Scooby snacks in hell.
I was going to ask you about that. Have you ever read Scoob and Shag? Oh.
Yes. I'm not caught up on it right now, but I love Scoob and Shag.
I need to get caught up as well. I just thought
It's funny because it starts off as like goofy comics, then it's a horror story, and then it's like an anime where they have what are they called? Like ballyhoos? Ballyhoos? That's like their cartoon powers, and they're all so cool. They're like all based on like movies and shit, right? And animation. It's so cool. Fuck, now I need to reread Shag and Scoop. It's like 3 different comics in one comic, is what it feels like, based on when you're reading it. JT says, I really epic episode, rating it a number 9 large out of 10. Have a good week, guys. Smile. Thank you, JT. Skull Guy says, I like the twist at the end. I know most people don't like goofy endings, but this wasn't goofy, it was serial. More authors need to try this because it lends itself to larger world building. Can't wait for the next episode. See you next week. I normally like surreal stuff. Maybe I'm just numb to it because we've read so many SCPs, but I just really felt like that one was particularly unsatisfying. I think it was a combination of like, oh, it's just a big old fat dude with a big fat hamburger. And it's like, we're all dying to hamburger grease. I was like, all right. I don't know. But I don't mind surreal stuff normally. I think maybe I'm just a little burnt out on it. Edit. Also, this whole episode, I couldn't stop thinking of that one meme of 2 guys acting out Shaggy and Scooby calling a coppa. Ooh, I can't repeat that word. Be careful with language around here. Y'all are a special breed. Shaitalia says, ruh-roh. MT says, update, got my accounts back. An actual human must have reviewed the appeals. So, what do I do with my 6 alternative accounts? Also, should my Grease yogurt be yellow? It's also burning my throat. Don't eat that. Not a good idea. Tanhoney, we've got another one here. Episode 160 out of 176. 16 episodes left. I'm starting to catch up by next week. Praise thy be, algorithm gods. On one hand, I can't binge listen to podcasts anymore. But on the other, I can finally start to read/listen to 8th World Space!
Hell yes!
Hell yes!
Sign up successful!
Yeah, welcome. You know what's funny? Is the people who are the most around on our server, I don't think any of them listen to Discover SCP. I think they're like 8th World Space.
I know, I've converted them successfully.
/ members of the community. Like, I never see them in the comments, except for JT, I guess. But yeah, it's really funny. That's the pipeline. We lure you in with SCPs, but then you read peak fiction and you realize that you can never go back to SCP. You're an Aetherhead for life. Or is it on other? Oh, sorry. Is the audio version only on YouTube Patreon, or is it on other sites? It's only on YouTube Patreon right now. I'm not promising anything, but in the very distant future when it's done, if I can ever get Tan to get better audio equipment, I'd love to do like a professional reading without like interruptions where we like do an audiobook for it. But that would be distant future, not guaranteed. For now, YouTube Patreon. Thanks for the bamboozle that is episode 151, which is one reason to read episode Aetheral Space. The other being some in-jokes spiced within some episodes of the podcast.
It's required reading.
Neat lore about months. Yeah, it really is. It's like specifically a part of the lore of the channel. I probably reference Aetheral Space more at this point than like generic anime manga. Neat lore about months being Tanhoney's secret cabal of kill team. Kind of reminds me of Gun X Sword, Diablo of Monday, Mets of Tuesday, Dahlia of Wednesday, Dan of Thursday, Sin of Friday, Set of Saturday, and Sadat of Sunday. Yay for episode titles display being much more streamlined and top-notch thumbnail and editing work. Yes, shout out to Hamiltoe who did our thumbnails for a while. He's gotten busy now, but he has done a wonderful job throughout the podcast last couple of years. And editing, of course, Anomalous, thank you, as well as our past editor, Lon Langland. They've all done great work. Now, I shall remind Darnell about something that he dislikes. You may skip it if you want. I'm skipping it.
I can't see this comment for some reason. I have no way of knowing where it was.
It was just it coils over and over for like 8 lines. It
coils.
Page. Shut up. An Anomalous writer final comment says, the voices in this ep is just gold. Thank you, Anomalous. Illy, bro. How do you feel about that one, Tan? That like actually physically exhausted me.
I think that as I was gonna, I think it was. I don't think it was very good, to be honest.
It was.
I enjoyed reading it with you, but I don't think the fiction itself was very good.
Buddy, I'd read through hell with you. I honestly think we would have had more fun reading like My Immortal, even though everybody and their mom has done that bit.
That's next episode.
No. Although, if you want to do a non-SCP episode next episode, that would be pretty fun. Anyways, for now, thank you all for watching, as always, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.